Hey developers, I'm Demetrius Clark and I work here on the developer education team at Netlify. Today we're going to be going over a marketing site that I built. It's going to teach us how to use scheduled and background functions to rebuild and deploy the site on an hourly interval, and also kick off a background function that'll collect some blog stats and send them back to our email. Let's dive right into it. So you'll see here we have a basic marketing site. The marketing site has a blog page on it. Blog has a single blog, and that's really all you need to know. Let's dive into the code, which is what you're actually here for. Looking at the project structure, you'll see here we're using Astro as the framework that we're building our site with. If you look down here, you'll see our Sanity Studio. We're going to be using Sanity as a CMS, which is typically a setup that you'll see out in the wild for content-based sites. To deploy a rebuild of the site, we're going to be using Netlify scheduled functions. If you look here inside of our trigger build hourly function, it's a pretty basic Netlify function setup that you're used to. You'll see here at the top, we're making a call to a send blog stats email. That's our background function. That's going to be collecting stats for the blog, sending it off to the email. Below that, you'll see our build hooks trigger. When we send a post request to this, it's going to kick off a deploy on Netlify and then rebuild the site. Down here at the bottom, though, is where you're going to see the setup for the scheduled function. This config export is going to schedule the function hourly for us. So every hour, that build hook will trigger and we will get a rebuild of the site. Let's check really quickly what that would look like inside of the Netlify dashboard. If we go over to deploys, you'll see here recently the deploy was triggered by the hook and we are getting successful invocation of the function. Let's go and check out the background function and see what that looks like. First, let's talk about what a background function is. A background function is typically a 15-minute or less long-running function that does things like batch processing, scraping, and/or long API workflows. In this instance, we're not really doing that. I just wanted to showcase what a background function would look like and the type of ways that you would build it into your own projects. Internally here, we're using SendGrid to send the email. And as I said before, we're using Sanity. So we're sending off a grok request, getting some Sanity information back that we can send in the email. Down below, we're just writing up the email, what it's going to look like, and then we're sending that off. Everything else looks like a regular function, which is awesome because you don't really have to learn much more to use background functions. The only thing to take note of is this extension that you're using, MTS. That's going to notify Netlify that this is a background function and will probably run for longer than the usual execution time. One of the things to take note of with a background function is that it is only available on the Core, Pro, and Enterprise plans. So if you're on the free plan, you won't be able to utilize background functions, but with an upgrade to the Pro plan, you will have the background function feature accessible to you. And before I let you go, one last thing I wanted to show you was inside of your Netlify dashboard. If you go to logs and functions, with a successful deploy of your scheduled function, you'll see a preview here that says scheduled, and at the bottom, the next execution of when this function is going to be invoked. For me, that's 3 p.m. Well, everybody, we are now at the end of the video. I hope you get out there and successfully build your own scheduled and background functions in your projects. And if you have any questions, feel free to DM me on X and/or Blue Sky. I'd be happy to help you out. Thank you so much for coming and learning with me. I hope to teach you something again very soon. Have a good day.